This video is brought to you by Brilliant. Today, the world prepares for Trump 2.0, protests in Valencia after deadly flooding, and Japan's Prime Minister survives a key vote to lead a minority government. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Monday the 11th of November 2024. Donald Trump's victory last week has shaken up the international picture and forced countries around the world to prepare for the incoming Trump administration. Trump's belief that US allies should pay more for their own defense and security has kickstarted moves from Asia to Europe. The Financial Times reported on Monday that Taiwan was considering purchasing a big package of US weapons to show the incoming Trump administration that the island is serious about its defense. The report cites several people familiar with the situation as saying that Taiwan would probably request the Lockheed Martin Aegis combat system and Northrop Grumman's E-2D Advanced Hawkeye, an airborne radar system, as well as more Patriot missiles and maybe even request F-35 fighter jets. Eldridge Colby, tipped for a Pentagon or national security position under Trump, said those who care about Taiwan should be super clear they need to dramatically step up. Their fate hangs in the balance. The Financial Times also cites a senior Taiwanese national security official as saying that informal discussions had taken place with the Trump team over the kind of arms package that would demonstrate Taiwan's determination to invest in its own defense. Meanwhile, Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba is aiming to arrange a meeting with Donald Trump soon. There are some fears in Japan and other Asian countries that a new Trump administration's tariff-heavy foreign policy could have a significant effect on their economies. Both Japan and South Korea are preparing for the prospect of Trump reviving calls for them to pay more for the cost of stationing US forces there. As for Europe, shortly after Donald Trump won last week's election, both France's Emmanuel Macron and Germany's Olaf Scholz congratulated Trump, but said that France and Germany would work in this new context for a more united, stronger, more sovereign Europe. The two countries' defence ministers also met on Wednesday last week to discuss Ukraine, NATO, and EU defence strategy. Since the election, Trump has had phone calls with both Ukraine's President Zelensky and Russia's Vladimir Putin. Zelensky said after the call that we agreed to maintain close dialogue and advance our cooperation. Strong and unwavering US leadership is vital for the world and for a just peace. Strangely, Trump ally Elon Musk also made an appearance on the call with Zelensky, signalling just how close the billionaire is to Trump. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like David C. Witkin, then consider joining the TLDR Daily Membership Programme for just $1.99. Over the weekend, over 100,000 people protested in Valencia, Spain, against the regional authorities' response to the recent floods, one of Europe's deadliest natural disasters in decades, which killed at least 220 people. 80 people are still believed to be missing. The floods, which began in late October, saw a year's worth of rain dumped on parts of the region in less than 8 hours. Regional governments in Spain are responsible for handling civilian protection and are able to ask the national government seated in Madrid for extra resources if needed. Valencia's regional leader is Carlos Mazón of the Conservative Popular Party. The protesters have demanded Mazón's resignation after his administration failed to issue flood alerts to citizens until after the water was filling people's homes. A week or so ago, outrage erupted among locals when the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, accompanied by the King of Spain, visited the towns most affected by the disaster. Many locals hurled mud at the Prime Minister and the King, chanting "murderers" in a powerful display of their anger. Things took a violent turn over the weekend when protesters, who had marched to Valencia's City Hall, began to clash with riot police. Police were filmed using batons to beat back protesters. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has survived a key parliamentary vote to stay in office, meaning he and his weakened LDP will lead a minority government. The long-ruling and scandal-tainted LDP lost its parliamentary majority last month for the first time in 15 years, and it was unable to reach a majority even with the help of its coalition partner Komeito. On Monday, Japan's lower house of parliament carried out its votes for Prime Minister. No candidate prevailed in the first round, meaning a runoff was necessary for the first time in 30 years. Ishiba then prevailed in the runoff with 221 votes, while the leader of the main opposition CDP received 160. Ishiba now faces a seriously difficult job. Running a minority government means he will require support from small opposition parties to pass legislation, something that gives parties like the Democratic Party for the People and the Ishin no Kai considerable influence. On top of this, Ishiba will have to manage and navigate hostilities within his own party, especially from the right wing of the LDP that opposed him in its leadership election in September. Party management challenges aside, Ishiba also faces a rapidly evolving international picture, with the rising challenges of North Korea and China and the potential for a change in the US-Japan relationship following the election of Donald Trump. Now over to Haiti, where the Transitional Council created to restore democratic order in the Caribbean country has fired its interim Prime Minister Gary Conille, marking further political turmoil and instability in the crisis-fraught nation. The 9-member council was formed in April to try to help Haiti chart a path forward amid surging gang violence and years of instability. The country's last president, Jovenel Moïse, was assassinated in July 2021. In late February this year, armed groups launched attacks in Port-au-Prince, aiming to overthrow then Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who later resigned. Conille, a long-time civil servant who previously worked with the United Nations, was appointed Prime Minister by the Council in May. Haiti has not held elections since 2016, and Conille and the Transitional Council were supposed to pave the way for elections next year, but the council has been plagued by infighting. It's been widely speculated that Conille's recent refusal to reshuffle his cabinet and his attempts to remove 3 council members accused of corruption may have contributed to his dismissal. Conille will be replaced as Prime Minister by businessman Alex Didier Fils-Aimé, who had previously been considered for the role. Meanwhile, gang violence in Haiti continues to escalate, even with the deployment of a Kenyan-led police mission. The UN has reported a staggering 1,200 deaths attributed to gang violence between July and September. Now, to finish off today's daily briefing, we turn our attention back to Valencia. While the tragedy and devastation of communities continues, a remarkable spirit of unity has emerged as people have come together to help clean up the destruction. Tens of thousands of volunteers from Spain and abroad, spanning all ages, backgrounds and nationalities, have rallied in Valencia to assist with the cleanup efforts. One video went viral that depicted a dedicated group of volunteers from Senegal working tirelessly to clear the rubble. Locals said the volunteers not only brought their efforts, but also their uplifting spirit, singing and cheering up residents who've been affected by the devastation. Now, as a TLDR viewer, it's clear that you have a thirst for learning. After all, why else would you have watched a 5-story video explaining the day's news? Now, if you want to continue your learning journey, you really should check out Brilliant. Brilliant is the online learning platform where you learn by doing, with thousands of interactive lessons in maths, data analysis, programming, and AI. These hands-on lessons have you comparing circuits to understand voltage and current, playing snooker to learn the rules of collision, planning your itinerary for an intergalactic music festival on a space-time diagram, and more. That way you'll build your natural intuition while gaining deep knowledge of scientific principles. In fact, Brilliant actually recently launched tons of new data science content, all of which uses real-world data to help you see trends and make better informed decisions. And don't worry, you don't need to be a world-renowned scientist to understand these courses either. Brilliant's courses are designed for learners of any level. Find out more and to try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/TLDR or click the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Thanks for your support and thanks to Brilliant for supporting this video.